Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on mysterious and weird, true stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 514, written by Chad Kicks 704, Secrets of the Blue Orb over the Pond. My mom and stepdad lived in a house in the middle of 5 acres of land. There was a pond of a decent size next to our house, and the one window I had in my room looked straight out to it. I grew up in Charlotte and would visit my family in Rockford, Michigan as a kid until my stepdad died of brain cancer, and they sold the house in 2011. The weirdest thing I've experienced, which is very mild compared to what I've read here but still would like an explanation for, happened one summer around 3 a.m. while visiting. I got to sleep with the dog for the night. My little bro and I would take turns when visiting. And one late night, around 3 a.m., our dog Duffy kept going to the foot of my bed next to my window and growling at something. I pulled him up to me a couple times, not thinking anything of it, but he kept going back to the foot of my bed and growling. Finally, I was awake enough to look, and there was a glowing orb floating maybe 10 feet above the center of the pond. I could see the moon in the sky much higher, and the tree line on the other side of the pond, orb completely unobstructed by them. I could also see the reflection of the glowing, floating orb in the middle of the pond. Anyway, I thought it was weird, but didn't think too much of it. Was wondering if anyone had any input or idea what the glowing orb of white light could be. Case notes, file number 514. So, there are actually quite a few theories on what these blue orbs of light could be. There is a phenomenon called ball lightning, and it's as described. Sometimes electricity will somehow form into some sort of plasma ball, and it'll appear just like an orb. However, it won't be perfectly spherical, and it'll also make a noise. What you described doesn't sound like this. Instead, it sounds like the spheres that people report in their rooms that are silent and without deformity. Personally, I think that these are yet unformed echoes of people in the past who have died. I think that if you die, there's an imprint that you leave behind on the universe. Your essence, your consciousness, whatever you want to call it, doesn't fully transfer over. Even though I do believe in quantum immortality, I think that not 100% of you leaves. Maybe 99.99%, but that 0.01% that stays behind still matters and can still affect reality in this existence, even if the bulk of you isn't here anymore. The question on that is, the essence that remains behind, does it have a choice to? The you that switches over to another universe to inhabit another copy of yourself, you wouldn't be aware of any part of you left behind. But if it is still there, it would be interacting and acting in a way that would be similar to you. Sort of like if you tried to program your own personality into an avatar, something like that. So maybe these orbs are just yet to be manifested versions of echoes of people who died, I like to say. I don't know, that's just my theory. Case file number 515, written by Caffekona, Secrets of 2 Absolutely Inhuman Men. This happened about 6 years ago, but has strongly stuck with me. The setting: Starbucks in a US college town off an incredibly major highway between noon and 3 p.m. I was running the drive-thru by myself, taking orders over the speaker and serving customers at the window. Business had slowed down for the afternoon, so I was able to work at a comfortable pace for once. I took a car's order, just 2 grande coffees, nothing remarkable. Just a perfectly normal and non-irritating interaction. Cool beans, yeah? The car pulled up to the window, and when I opened it to greet them, I got the absolute weirdest feeling. They were pleasant enough, not chatty, but not being short with me either. The 2 men in the car looked like the typical middle-aged white businessmen that come through my drive-thru all the time. Their faces were incredibly generic and nondescript. To my best friend and coworker over the headset, I said, "Hey, I swear, these guys at the window aren't human. They're like the most generic NPC-looking people I've ever seen. Like, I can't even describe them. They look so nothing." I wrung them out. Go hand out their coffees and see if you're still laughing at me." She rolled her eyes, of course, and went to hand out the coffees. Afterward, she agreed that there was something seriously off about those two men. We couldn't quite pinpoint it, aside from them and their car being so nondescript we couldn't even describe them minutes later. They kind of reminded me of Men in Black, except they seemed to be functioning perfectly fine as humans. I would have thought it was just having a weird day if my friend, who misses no opportunity to roast me, hadn't seen them too and agreed with me that they didn't feel human. So is this a thing? I get pretty deep into supernatural rabbit holes and don't know what they could be or possible explanations besides boring looking guys gave me the heebie-jeebies. Creepy File Number 5, written by Recklesslovely, Secrets of the Mystical Store. I have no one I can comfortably talk to about this for answers, so I'm posting it here because I hope someone will take me seriously. Me and my friend, we'll call her Naomi, went to an antique store a few days ago, and as soon as we got inside, she said something felt off. She can't figure out what it is, but there's just a general feeling that something isn't right. Gut feelings aren't something I really believe in, so I just told her everything was probably fine and we continued into the store. Naomi kept looking over her shoulder the whole time, not in a frightened way, but more like she had her guard up and was on the lookout for anything that could go wrong. Whether that be a bookshelf falling over or someone having a heart attack. She says she's psychic for that kind of thing, but again, I'm a big skeptic. There is one thing I find strange though. I keep seeing someone out of the corner of my eye. I always notice them just a split second before they leave my line of sight, behind another shelf or around another corner. You know when you think you see shadows right at the edge of your vision, but nothing's there when you look? It was that exact sensation. But I know someone was standing there. It wasn't just my imagination. It wasn't necessarily threatening yet, but still a bit curious. Here's where things get weird. Naomi and I are pretty good at sticking together when we go to shops like that, but we occasionally do go off in different directions. Normally, we'll at least give each other a heads up if we're splitting off to different sections. But at some point, I turned around and she was just gone. No warning or anything. Initially, I thought it wasn't a big deal because I figured she'd just turn up sometime. So I'm by myself in the back part of the store, and it's full of candles and astrology-themed stuff. I thought I was alone, but when I went to leave that section, there's some woman standing right behind me. Immediately, I just get a weird vibe from her, and was super uncomfortable. Like she was just standing there a little bit closer to me than a normal person would. I stepped out of the way because I thought she was trying to get past me, but she just got even closer. It put me on edge enough that I started to hold my keys between my knuckles. Before I could tell her to back off, I had the sensation that I was falling asleep. Everything in my brain just started going fuzzy and it was getting harder to think. Next thing I know, I hear Naomi saying my name over and over and I wake up, still standing in the exact same spot. The woman wasn't there anymore. I asked Naomi what happened, and she said she had been trying to get my attention for 2 minutes. Apparently, I had just been staring blankly ahead as if I was hypnotized or something. I remember none of those few minutes. It's all completely gone, like I was literally asleep, standing up with my eyes open. I asked if she'd seen the woman, and she just got this super serious look on her face and asked me, "Did she say anything to you?" I said I didn't hear her voice, but was also a bit unaware of everything for a few minutes, so I just said that I don't remember. Naomi took my hand and walked us straight out of the store, and she would not let me talk to her about it anymore. She was really freaked out, to the point where she even checked the backseat of her car before we got in, like she was making sure no one was hiding. She barely spoke the whole drive back. She dropped me off at home, and since then, we've only texted. But she will change the subject every time I try to bring up what happened in the store, and she'll do everything she can to talk me out of going back, like my life depends on it or something. I've been left without answers for this really weird encounter, and I needed to tell someone about it. If not for answers, then just for someone else to hear it and take me seriously. I know how all of it sounds, and I'm pretty sure most people in my life would think I'm crazy or something. I know I would assume my friend was crazy if they said the same thing to me. In terms of theories, I have nothing good. I don't think the woman drugged me, because I can't find anything online about any drug that just incapacitates a person for 2 or 3 minutes before instantly wearing off. When I regained awareness, it wasn't like a gradual thing. It was like Naomi flipped a light switch. I snapped back too. I don't think any drugs can do that without some other side effects. The other thing I thought of was that it would actually have been some sort of hypnosis, but I'm pretty sure that also doesn't make any sense. From what I can gather, it seems like someone has to consent to being hypnotized for it to work. You can't just go up to a random person and hypnotize them without warning. And maybe this is just me being cocky, but I feel like it'd be pretty difficult to hypnotize anyway. Just to be clear, I don't take any drugs and I don't drink. I don't even use over-the-counter cold medicine when I feel sick. I typically just let everything heal by itself. Also, I have no history of mental illness besides what some people in my family think is an undiagnosed case of OCD.